What's up, snappers? Welcome back to the channel. DDDREWSKY here. Today we're gonna be looking at the brand new card Starbrand to see if he's worth your precious resources. We're gonna be looking at his key Synergies Counters and some decks that I brewed for him. But wait, before we do that, please like the video, please subscribe to the channel. I do weekly reviews of the brand new card in Marvel Snap, so if you don't want to miss out, hit that notification bell right now. And let's get back into it. Now the question is, who is Starbrand? Let's take a look. So Starbrand in Marvel Snap is a 3-cost, 10-powered card with the ongoing ability of your opponent has +3 power at each other location. So I believe he's a huge power slam card. 3 costs with 10 power is insane. I love the value of the power, but there is a caveat of him adding power to each other lane that he's not in. So it's a very big detrimental factor if you can't disable that effect. So remember to make sure to address the problem or just let it happen, right? So I think he's a great card if you want to go really tall in a certain lane. Let's take a look at the pros and cons of Starbrand. So the first point that I want to bring up is that it's a huge power for 3 costs. Just like I mentioned, 10 power is definitely above average for a 3-cost card. I love his potential of that raw power. Another good point about him is that it's a potential ShuriDump or Surtur card. We know that Surtur is very strong in the current meta. Shuri, I know it's definitely not a meta card or a meta staple deck, but it could have potential with Starbrand. And then Dracula Dump, there is some cards that have released, and Starbrand might be one of them. So he's great for going tall in 2 lanes. You definitely want to throw down that raw 10 power on a certain lane. Again, he does have that huge negative effect of adding power, just straight raw power to the opponent's lanes. So if you don't care about winning the other lanes or going wide, I think he's totally fine. So now let's talk about the cons about Starbrand. It gives power to locations for opponent. It's just straight power or points, you would say, to those locations. It's not really adding power to like a certain card. So removing that buff is going to be very tough if you don't Sauron or zero him. So you definitely don't want to add power to those locations, or if you don't care, if you're just going straight tall in 2 lanes, doesn't really matter, right? So of course Starbrand is 10 powered. That is Shang-Chi bait. You definitely want to be careful of Shang-Chi. He's definitely popular with all his power slamming that's happening in the meta. So he's a 3/4 effectively if the ability goes off. Remember, you want to address that ability, or again, if you don't really care, then throw down that raw power. Just make sure you just focus on 2 lanes. Now let's look at some of the key synergies and counters for Starbrand. So the first synergy that I want to talk about is Zero. Of course, Zero removes the ability of a card, especially for Starbrand. You definitely want to remove that ability. So great synergy right there. Surtur, of course, Starbrand is a 10 powered card, so there's immediate synergy with Surtur. And then Sauron, of course, Sauron removes ongoing abilities, so Starbrand is definitely a must-have with Sauron. Now let's talk about the counters. Shang-Chi, of course, 10 powered for Starbrand is insane, so Shang-Chi will definitely delete that card. So Scorpion is another counter for Starbrand. Eliminating that 1 power can make a difference, especially against the Surtur deck. So again, be careful of Scorpion. Man-Thing affects cards like Starbrand because Starbrand's a 3-cost card. So that -2 power definitely can make a huge difference against Starbrand. Now let's take a look at some of the decks that I brewed. I think they're pretty fun and competitive. Let's take a look. So the first deck that we have is called SurturBrand. So I believe this might be the home for Starbrand. This is my iteration or take on the Surtur archetype. So the ideal goal of this deck is to just throw down as much power as possible for Surtur and just keep growing that massive power. So for turn 1, Zabu, of course, you definitely want to run Zabu, start discounting cards like Ares, Crossbone, Cold Obsidian. You definitely want to get that energy discount. Armor, Iron Patriot, Captain America can definitely be played on turn 2. You definitely want to curve out armor to start protecting your big cards. Iron Patriot is great if you can pull down a big card, possibly with him. Captain America is more there to start moving around the shield for Cold Obsidian. Luke Cage is more a protection card against cards like Scorpion, like I mentioned, as a counter. So it's definitely a counter for all the big meta cards that are happening right now. Cosmo's here to start protecting your big cards. Surtur ideally should be played on turn 3, possibly in the Cosmo or armor lane. Starbrand is here primarily for his raw power. Of course, you're not going to be able to remove the ability,
but you're there just to throw down that raw power. Ares, more than likely, you're going to be able to pull off the ability because you have so much raw power in this deck. Club Obsidian has great synergy with Captain America, especially with his shield. You can move around that shield and then place him anywhere there or in the Zabu lane. Scar just reaps all the benefits of this list, all this power cards that you're throwing down. More than likely, Scar is going to be very cheap. Now let's take a look at my second list.
So this list is called ShuriBrand. The goal of this list is to remove the ongoing abilities of your deck, power up your cards, and then just slam down all that power. So for turn 1, ideally you want to do either Zabu or Zero. Zero and then follow up with Ebony Maw. Zabu is really here just to start discounting cards like Ares and Enchantress and even Shuri. For turn 2, you definitely want to throw down armor to start setting up that lane to just start protecting your big cards in that lane. So we have the brand new buff Lizard. You could definitely run Zero and then Lizard to remove the ability of Lizard.
Sauron is the huge value pick in this list, removing all the ongoing effects. The only card you really don't want to remove the ongoing effect is armor. Other than that, all the cards are definitely worth removing their ability.
Starbrand, of course, is the power card of this list.
It really depends on if you can remove the ability. More than likely, you should be able to with Zero or Sauron. But if you can't, of course, you're going to be trying to win 2 lanes anyways.
Shuri is the double up master of this list. You could double up the power in Starbrand, Ares, Red Skull. It really depends on which card you want to do, but more than likely those are your targets. Enchantress is a great counter in this list. You can remove the abilities of all the ongoing cards like Starbrand, Red Skull, Lizard, and obviously she's just a great tech card in general to remove the ongoing abilities of your opponent. And then Taskmaster is a great follow-up with this list. It really depends on what you've double upped in power, or if you just played Starbrand or Red Skull or even Ares, you can just follow up with Taskmaster.
Now let's take a look at my third and final list.
So this list is called StarDump. This is my take on the Dracula dump list. So the objective of this list is to have a bunch of power cards in your hand and then let Dracula take that power.
So for turn 1, you could either do Human Torch or Zero. It really depends on your hand, but you can start setting up Human Torch, move them around with Ghost Spider or Iron Fist.
Zero really is here just for Starbrand. For turn 2, you can definitely start setting up Madam Web to start moving cards like Human Torch or Red Wing.
Cosmo is here to primarily protect your big cards or obviously counter your opponent. Red Wing, of course, is an awesome pairing with Iron Fist or Ghost Spider or Madam Web. Starbrand, it really depends if you have Zero on the board or able to play Zero and then remove his ability, or you could just save him in your hand for Dracula. Dracula loves any of the big cards that are left in your hand, so it really depends if you want to play down all the small cards and then leave all the big power in your hand.
Heimdall's more of a surprise last turn play. Red Hulk is really there for just the power if for Dracula, or you could play him down. Infinite, of course, it really depends on the situation, but more than likely he'll be stuck in your hand, so Dracula could take that power. Now let's take a look at the spotlights that are featured with Starbrand. So Starbrand is with Scar and Phastos. Starbrand is a Series 5 card, Scar is Series 4, and Phastos is Series 4. So I believe Scar, of course, is a huge meta card right now. Even with his nerf at 7 cost and potentially a buff with his power at 12 power, I think he's definitely worth picking up. He's definitely a huge meta card, and
we'll see. Maybe he'll get nerfed in the future, but
definitely worth having right now. He's definitely a huge meta card right now.
Phastos is an interesting addition to this week. He definitely has some synergy with Starbrand, but I would say he's definitely not a meta card or a must-have card. So for the spotlight variants, Starbrand, Scar, and Phastos, I love all 3. I particularly love like the big, huge power look.
So definitely, if you like this type of style, then definitely go for them. But again, art is subjective. If you're not a fan, then totally you don't have to go for them. So remember, guys, to have 4 keys before opening in a week. You definitely don't want to have any regrets on missing out on a card or a variant. So be careful with your keys. Now let's take a look at the community predictions for Starbrand. So for S tier, 2 stars, A tier, 4 stars, C tier, 3 stars, and F tier, 1 star. So the community really believes that he's an A tier card. They must like the power for a 3-cost card. And I'm sure there are some ways to remove that ability. But yeah, I think they really enjoy the card and the possibilities. So here's a community prediction comment from Undead Eggmeister. Thank you again for leaving a comment about Starbrand. They said, honestly, he's clearly built only for Sauron decks. And in that, he's a solid A card, if not S. Everything else is a C, if not F. So I agree on that comment. I believe that
Definitely Sauron could be his home, and I would say I kind of disagree about he could fit in other decks, right? He could fit in Surtur, like I mentioned, or even Dump. So there are some other decks that he could fit in, but yeah, I would say I definitely agree that he could be like average in other decks for sure. If you want to be featured in the next video, make sure to look out for my community post about the brand new card.
And then I would love to hear your feedback and what you think about the card. And thank you guys so much again for bringing value to my videos. Take a look at my star ratings for Starbrand. So for competitive, 4 stars, I believe 3 cost 10 power is too good to be true. That 10 power is awesome. Again, the ability is not great, but there are ways to remove it.
For fun, 3 stars. I know a lot of people do like power slam cards. I would say 3 is definitely on average. I don't know if a lot of people enjoy it, but I could see some fun in it as well. So for flexibility, I give him a 2.5 stars. I believe he's going to be very niche. He will find a home eventually. I would say his ability is going to be pretty negative in some manner. And I was reaching quite a bit on the decks that he can fit in. So I would say flexibility 2.5 stars. For future changes, 2 stars. I believe if things go out of hand, sure, he'll get a nerf, but I don't see him getting buffed really. So if anything, maybe in the future he'll get nerfed. It depends on, you know, cards like Surtur, right? If it goes out of control again,
then potentially this card will get nerfed. But I definitely don't see this card getting buffed anytime soon. Now let's take a look at my final review of Starbrand. Is he worth a snapper skip? Let's take a look.
So for pre-Series 3 owners, I would say you're definitely going to be missing out on a lot of cards that synergize well with Starbrand. He does work with a lot of Series 1 and Series 3 cards and even 2 cards, but you're definitely going to be missing out on a lot of Series 3 that work well with him. So for Series 3 owners, you're definitely going to be having cards that synergize well with him, but there are some Series 5 cards that will push him over to the edge of, you know, being great. So I would say 3.5 stars is fair for that. Series 4 and 5 owners, I would say 4 stars. You're going to be having a lot of cards that work well with him, or you should have enough that work well with him. So I would say definitely is worth having. Archetypes that he fits in are Surtur, Sauron, and Dump. So with that being said, with everything that I've mentioned in the video, I would say Starbrand is worth a snap. But there is an asterisk. I would say he's definitely not a must-have. He is value at 3 costs. But I would say if you are low on resources, then you can probably pass on him. But if you have the resources, I think he's definitely worth picking up, especially in the Scar week. Scar is definitely a must-have right now with all the cards that he works well with right now, like Hela or, you know, Surtur and stuff like that. So I'd definitely say it's okay to use keys during that week.
So what do you think about Starbrand? Did I miss any synergies? Did I miss any decks that he works well with? Let me know in the comments below. And if you haven't yet, please like the video. Please subscribe to the channel. I would love for you to be a part of this amazing community here on YouTube. And I'll see you guys in the next Snapper Skip. Happy snapping.